And Tasmania's got some fantastic advantages when you look at clean air, clean energy, clean water, and seeing what investments are needed, particularly capitalising on those advantages to give Tassie a bit of a competitive edge. And key areas of our focus in that package, in that context around those advantages, include dairy, aquaculture, horticulture, tourism, new approaches to timber processing and value adding, and becoming a leader in clean energy production. And just a couple of weeks ago, Minister Crean and Premier Giddings announced funding for a world-first data project called Sense-T. And this project provides great technology where farmers and people, custodians of land, can actually get real-time information on a range of factors such as temperature, rainfall, carbon carrying capacity of the soil, so enabling farmers to make quicker and better irrigation, fertilisation and harvesting decisions. So that information, I think, and that methodology can certainly be replicated with the rest of Australia. So it's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of that. And initiatives such as these, and that Sense-T, is leveraging other investments such as broadband and NBN to improve industry productivity in the region. And our department has been working with Senator Conroy's department looking at the application side and the take-up from local government and local businesses in that area. In North Queensland, we're also working through the Northern Australia Ministerial Forum, which has been around for quite a few years, and in a sense we've got a really good evidence base emerging in this area, particularly building on some of the work that ABARES has been doing. And this forum brings together Commonwealth, state and territory governments to improve the coordination across the north and progress sustainable development. And you would have heard a bit about the beef industry this morning, and certainly from Robin Fleming, and that's a key area that we've been looking at. But coming out of that, we've also got the North Queensland irrigation agriculture strategy. We've also been doing some collaborative work with the state government and the CSIRO, and looking at water resources development, but also looking at some of the commodities forecasting and infrastructure forecasting for the whole of North Australia. So there's some really good work that's coming out of that, but I must say we've been working on it for some time, and we're starting to see some really good outcomes from that research work that's happening. And the Bureau of Resources and Energy Economics is also assisting us in this space. So we're developing some really good partnerships to build up and look at some of the really good opportunities in terms of the North Australia strategy. And finally, in the Latrobe Valley, and this is just the last case study I want to touch on before my colleagues talk about their particular case studies in the Latrobe. And we're examining opportunities for the region to move to a low carbon economy. We started this work prior to the Australian Government's Clean Energy Future Plan that was announced last July. And the Latrobe region itself had identified moving to a low carbon economy as a key priority. RDA Gippsland, or Regional Development Australia Gippsland, has been working with stakeholders, including public, private and community sectors, and looking at, obviously, the economic diversification. That's where we could actually help, and we've also commissioned some key work in this area to help manage that, and help them manage that economy and that region through transition. Part of that management and part of that facilitation role is really setting up some good governance arrangements, and for Latrobe, the Commonwealth and Victorian governments have established a joint ministerial forum. So we have got two ministers, both at the Victorian level and the Commonwealth level, really driving outcomes in that area, and they're providing great oversight in terms of our planning approach. And supporting the forum, we've established the Latrobe Valley Transition Committee, which is co-chaired by my department as well as the Victorian Department of Planning and Community Development. And this committee will guide work on identifying future impacts of the low carbon economy and assisting communities in developing proposals and projects and moving to a more diversified economy. Some of the learnings and conclusions in the short time we've been in existence, and I'll probably be able to hear more feedback from you in terms of where we need to focus future efforts too, is obviously building the evidence and understanding of regions. And there's sort of 5 key learnings, I guess, for my department is obviously we need to get out there and understand regions. And this is a new way of working for the Commonwealth. We haven't got a Commonwealth agency that's focused on spatial dimensions or geography. We've got Commonwealth departments that are focused around functions. So in a sense, we're a coordinating body trying to bring all that together. But in that context, we need to know what's actually working and what's not working on the ground. And that's where we need assistance of RDAs, local governments and the local movers and shakers to really help develop our expertise as well. We need to work closely with our Canberra colleagues and build partnerships to ensure we're well coordinated on the ground. And the work that I took to the Secretary's Board this morning identified some areas where we've got a huge number of place-based programs, whether they be in the social policy space or the education space or the skills space and the like. And what we need to do is provide much better coordination and ultimately look at opportunities for integration so we can actually tailor some of these programmatic areas into something that actually makes sense for regions. Thirdly, we need to help build the capacity of our regions, and I don't need to talk about anything more about that other than that example I gave you earlier, and setting up the governance arrangements and facilitating conversations is a pretty important role to play. And in our obviously constrained financial environment, we need a really good evidence base so I can actually advocate on behalf of regions and look at how we do develop investment strategies, I like to call them, and business cases around why government, and particularly the Commonwealth Government, should invest in regions. But in that context, we probably need to look at how much money the Commonwealth is already investing in regions, and it's absolutely huge. What outcomes are we getting? It's probably very differential. So we need to build up that evidence base. And finally, in Canberra, which has been part of my challenge, I guess, over the last 12 to 18 months, is the cultural change required from us as public servants here in Canberra. And this has been a key challenge for me in bringing my colleagues along, bringing other agencies along, getting our hands dirty, rolling up our sleeves, as I said earlier, and getting out there and understanding what works and what doesn't work. And I have found it's generally the communities know the what. What they're seeking from us is a facilitation role on making it happen and the how. So our new approach to regional development seeks to balance the sort of local intelligence that you all have around here and that our stakeholders have out there in collaboration with all levels of government. So there's an education role that I'm playing, an awareness raising role that I'm playing also in the Commonwealth Government. And it's a complex and dynamic regional development agenda, and it requires all of us to focus our efforts in this area to get really tangible outcomes. And I think with the setting up of the brand new department, I'm taking the approach as, we've got one shot here to get it right, and if we don't get it right, it'll be much to our demise. So, and that's why we do need to work in partnership. But I'm interested to hear your views and obviously the perspectives of the panel, and it's forums like this where we can certainly build on our cooperative approach. And I guess I'd like to encourage all of you to find out what is happening in regions, and we haven't done a big bang approach to my region, but it is an evolutionary process, and if people do have information, if they can share it through this website that we're in the process of rolling out and developing. So thank you very much for listening and not going to sleep on me, and I'll look forward to my colleagues who really know how to make it happen on the ground. Thanks very much.